Part 1, The Arrogant Armada. Admiral Lorthus Jorvik stroked his luminescent facial tendrils as he stared at the holographic projection of Earth. The small blue planet rotated slowly above the strategy table, looking utterly unremarkable and deliciously vulnerable. Primitive, he muttered, his multi-toned voice resonating through the command chamber of the Vesperian flagship Inevitable Conquest. Absolutely primitive. Strategic Director Pelna adjusted her ocular implants to better examine the projection. The humans have barely managed interplanetary travel, Admiral. Their most advanced weapons are nuclear devices that would be considered toys in our nurseries. How many worlds have we added to the glorious Vesperian Empire this cycle, Director? Jorvik asked, already knowing the answer but enjoying the sound of it nonetheless. 83, Admiral. Earth shall be our 84th acquisition. The Admiral's skin shifted color from royal purple to a pleased azure. And how many ships would you recommend for this conquest, Director Pelna? 2. Perhaps 3 for redundancy. The strategy chamber erupted in whistling laughter from the other high-ranking officers present. Director Pelna's facial scales rippled in amusement. 1 would be sufficient, Admiral. But where's the glory in that? Admiral Jorvik circled the hologram, his ceremonial cape flowing behind him. Indeed. The Emperor expects spectacle. I'm thinking, the entire 7th Fleet. The laughter abruptly ceased. Commander Drax, a veteran of 17 planetary conquests, cleared his throat. The entire fleet, Admiral. For that. He pointed one clawed finger at Earth. 500 ships, Jorvik confirmed with a dismissive wave. The humans have never encountered alien life. Imagine their terror when they look up and see 500 Vesperian warships darkening their skies. The psychological impact alone will ensure immediate surrender. Intelligence Officer Threll, who had remained silent until now, tapped nervously at his data pad. Admiral, if I may, our preliminary scans indicate some unusual energy readings from the planet's surface. Nothing threatening, but unusual. Elaborate, Jorvik demanded. It's probably nothing, sir. Their primitive communication network, they call it the Internet, has some references to something called Area 51 and reverse engineering. Likely just their entertainment media. Jorvik scoffed. Officer Threll, your caution borders on cowardice. These humans still fight wars against each other using projectile weapons and combustion engines. Their aircraft can't even reach escape velocity without discarding parts. Yes, Admiral, Threll responded, lowering his gaze. 500 ships, Jorvik repeated. We'll arrive at Earth's orbit in exactly 6 standard cycles. Their military capability is laughable. Their population is divided by arbitrary geographical boundaries. They'll be so stunned by our arrival that conquest will be bloodless. He turned to face his officers, his tendrils glowing with anticipation. Imagine the accolades from the Emperor. Imagine your names in the Imperial records. The conquest of Earth will be remembered as the most efficient subjugation in Vesperian history. As the officers filed out to prepare the massive fleet, Commander Drax lingered behind. Admiral, if I might ask, why such overwhelming force for such an insignificant world? Admiral Jorvik's tendrils darkened momentarily. Between us, Commander. The Imperial budget cycle ends soon. If we don't use the resources, we lose them in next cycle's allocation. Drax nodded in understanding. Efficiency at its finest, Admiral. Indeed, Jorvik smiled, his teeth gleaming like polished obsidian. Earth won't know what hit them. As the Vesperian fleet prepared for the simplest conquest in their illustrious history, neither Admiral Jorvik nor any of his officers could have possibly imagined that their greatest defeat awaited them, all because of one human who wasn't even aware aliens existed. Part 3, The Invasion begins. The sky above Millfield turned an unnatural shade of purple as the first wave of the Vesperian fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. Citizens stopped in their tracks, mouths agape, as enormous shadow-casting vessels materialized through the clouds. Smartphones pointed upward captured humanity's first contact with alien life, streaming it live across social media platforms worldwide. Admiral Jorvik stood triumphantly on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, watching the planet's surface grow larger through the viewscreen. "Begin the intimidation protocol," he ordered. "Deploy atmospheric displays over their largest population centers." Flight Director Quen nodded sharply. "Deploying now, Admiral." Across the globe, massive holographic projections of Admiral Jorvik's face appeared over major cities, his voice booming in multiple languages. "People of Earth, your planet now belongs to the Vesperian Empire. Resistance is futile. Your military forces are insignificant. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." In the White House Situation Room, military leaders and government officials scrambled to formulate a response. "What the hell are we looking at?" demanded President Eleanor Garcia, her knuckles white as she gripped the edge of the conference table. General Winston Thompson shook his head grimly. "Unknown aircraft, spacecraft, of clearly non-terrestrial origin. Our jets are scrambling, but conventional weapons appear to have no effect on their hulls." "Nuclear options?" the president asked quietly. "On standby," General Thompson confirmed. "But deploying over our own cities would be catastrophic." Meanwhile, at Millfield Observatory, Hank Williams was still on the roof, completely oblivious to the global panic. The observatory's staff had rushed inside to watch the news, leaving Hank alone with his tools and the malfunctioning satellite dish. "Something's causing massive interference," he muttered, adjusting his thumper device. The readings were off the charts now, the needle swinging wildly. "Never seen anything like this." On the inevitable conquest, chaos erupted as systems began failing one by one. "Admiral!" Strategic Director Pelna cried out. "We're experiencing critical navigation failures across the fleet." "Impossible!" Jorvik roared. "What's causing it?" Officer Threll's fingers flew across his console. "Sir, it's that same signal from earlier, but amplified. It's coming from a small facility in a region they call Colorado. Target that facility immediately." Jorvik ordered. Full disintegration barrage. Aboard the lead destroyer, Weapons Officer Galix aimed the ship's main cannon at the coordinates provided. "Target acquired," he reported. "Firing in 3, 2. The weapon system suddenly went dead. Then the lights. Then life support. Across the Vesperian fleet, ships began drifting aimlessly, their quantum drives disrupted by an expanding wave of the mysterious frequency. Some vessels collided with each other, while others plummeted toward Earth's surface, emergency systems barely functioning enough to prevent catastrophic crashes. On the roof of Millfield Observatory, Hank finally noticed something was amiss when a massive Vesperian scout ship came careening over the horizon, smoke trailing from its engines, before crash landing in a vacant field 2 miles away. "Holy Mother of..." Hank whispered, dropping his wrench with a clatter. His thumper device was now glowing hot, the satellite dish behind him vibrating and emitting a high-pitched whine that perfectly matched the frequency disrupting the Vesperian fleet's quantum technology. Dr. Norris burst through the roof access door. "Hank! The world's being invaded by aliens." "Yeah," Hank replied slowly, looking from his device to the crashed ship in the distance, a dawning realization spreading across his weathered face. "And I think I might have just shot one down." Admiral Jorvik's voice had lost its imperial confidence as he barked desperate orders to his failing fleet. "Regroup. Maintain altitude. Someone explain how these primitives developed quantum disruption technology." What no one could explain was that they hadn't. They just had the incredible luck of having Hank Williams and his universal thumper in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Part 4, The Turning Point. "You're telling me this contraption is taking down alien spaceships?" General Thompson stood on the observatory roof, staring incredulously at Hank's homemade device now wired directly into the satellite dish. A dozen military personnel swarmed around them, setting up additional equipment and defensive positions. Hank shrugged, uncomfortable with the attention. Not on purpose, but yeah, looks that way. Something about the frequency it generates must mess with their navigation systems. Dr. Norris, who'd been rapidly taking notes, looked up. It's the modulation pattern. Hank's modifications created a resonance cascade effect that disrupts quantum field stabilizers. In English, Doc, the general prompted. His junk box of spare parts accidentally created the perfect alien ship killer, she simplified. Within hours, the U.S. military had set up a perimeter around Millfield Observatory. Engineers were frantically studying Hank's thumper, trying to replicate its effects. Meanwhile, the first wave of the Vesperian fleet hung disabled in the sky, their ships dark and drifting. Admiral Jorvik was beside himself with rage. How is this possible? One primitive facility is disrupting 500 of our most advanced warships. Commander Drax, monitoring the steadily declining ship systems, shook his head. It defies explanation, Admiral. Their technology shouldn't be capable of this. Sir, Officer Threll interrupted, we've intercepted their communications. They're calling it Williams Wave. Named after the human who discovered it. One human. Jorvik's tendrils twisted in disbelief. One human is responsible for this. Back at Millfield, Hank found himself thrust into the role of technical consultant as military scientists reverse-engineered his device. It's nothing fancy, he explained, pointing to various components. CB radio parts, old microwave magnetron, signal booster from a cell phone repeater, and this thing I salvaged from a broken GPS unit. Lead scientist Dr. Layla Kumar stared at the collection of junk in amazement. The quantum field disruption is generated by this configuration. She pointed to a particularly haphazard arrangement of wires. Had to improvise, Hank admitted. Proper parts are expensive. Within 12 hours, the Williams wave generator had been duplicated and deployed to military installations worldwide. Each new generator that came online expanded the disruption field, disabling more Vesperian ships. On the flagship, now running on emergency power, Admiral Jorvik faced the unthinkable. Options for retreat, he asked quietly, his tendrils limp with defeat. Minimal, sir, Strategic Director Pelna replied grimly. Only the ships at the outer edges of the fleet retain enough functionality to attempt faster-than-light travel. Send the order, Jorvik commanded, his voice hollow. Any ship capable of retreat is to return to Vesperian space immediately. Inform the Emperor. He paused, the words bitter on his tongue, inform him that Earth possesses technology beyond our understanding. As the few functioning Vesperian ships fled Earth's orbit, humanity celebrated its unlikely victory. News channels worldwide broadcast images of the defeated alien fleet alongside pictures of Hank Williams, the unassuming mechanic who had saved the world. In the White House, President Garcia addressed the nation. Today, we were reminded that humanity's greatest strength isn't always found in our military might or cutting-edge technology, but in the ingenuity of ordinary people. A single mechanic with a lifetime of practical knowledge accomplished what our most advanced weapons could not. Outside Millfield Observatory, surrounded by government officials eager to speak with him, Hank just wanted to finish the job he'd started. So, he asked Dr. Norris, ignoring the commotion around them, after all this, is the satellite dish working properly again? Part 2, Earth's Oblivious Defense. Hank Williams wasn't thinking about alien invasions as he climbed the rickety ladder to the satellite dish atop the Millfield Observatory. His concerns were far more terrestrial. The ancient satellite relay was acting up again, and as the only technician within 50 miles who understood the outdated equipment, the responsibility fell squarely on his shoulders. Should have retired last year, he grumbled, his breath fogging in the crisp morning air. At 62, Hank's knees protested each rung of the ladder, but his hands remained steady, the hands of a man who had spent decades coaxing life into stubborn machinery. Dr. Patricia Norris, the observatory's director, watched anxiously from below. Any idea what's wrong with it this time, Hank? Same as always, he called down. Government surplus equipment from the 90s trying to handle 2025 data loads. It's like asking a pony to pull a freight train. What neither Hank nor Dr. Norris knew was that the Millfield Observatory's satellite dish, due to a manufacturing quirk in Hank's previous unorthodox repairs, was emitting a very particular frequency. A frequency that, by sheer cosmic coincidence, resonated perfectly with the quantum navigation systems of Vesperian warships. Reaching the top, Hank opened his battered toolbox and pulled out a device he'd cobbled together from an old microwave magnetron and parts from a discarded radio. He called it his universal thumper, not scientific, but effective for diagnosing electrical problems. "Let's see what's got you singing off-key today," he muttered to the satellite dish, attaching his thumper to the primary feed horn. 200 million miles away, Officer Threll was monitoring Earth's electromagnetic emissions when his instruments detected something bizarre. "Admiral," he called, brow furrowed, "I'm detecting an unusual signal from the planet's surface." "It appears to be," he paused, recalibrating his instruments. "It appears to be probing our forward scout drones." Admiral Jorvik dismissed the concern with a flick of his tendrils. "Impossible. Our cloaking technology is beyond their comprehension." Back on Earth, Hank frowned at the readings on his thumper. "That's weird," he mumbled. The device was picking up some kind of interference he'd never seen before. On a hunch, he adjusted the frequency modulator, a part he'd salvaged from an old CB radio. "You finding anything?" Dr. Norris called up. "Not sure yet," Hank replied, twisting a dial. "Got some strange feedback. Probably just cosmic background radiation or maybe those new 6G towers they're building over in Henderson." In space, alarms suddenly blared across the Vesperian scout vessels. "Admiral." Threll's voice had risen an octave. 3 scout ships just went offline. Their quantum drives they're inverting somehow." "That's absurd," Jorvik snapped. "Nothing on that primitive mudball could affect our quantum technology." On the observatory roof, Hank's thumper began to emit an ear-piercing whine. "Whoa," he yelped, nearly dropping the device. The satellite dish was now humming with energy, its components vibrating at frequencies they were never designed to handle. "Hank. Everything okay up there?" Dr. Norris sounded concerned. Fine," he called back, fascinated by the phenomenon. "Just found something interesting. This old girl is picking up something I've never seen before." He made another adjustment. "Almost looks like, well, I'd say it looks like encrypted data packets, but that's crazy. Who'd be broadcasting way out here in the middle of nowhere?" As Hank continued his tinkering, completely unaware of the chaos he was causing in space, the Vesperian advanced scouts began falling like dominoes, their sophisticated navigation systems rendered useless by one old man with jury-rigged equipment and decades of mechanical intuition. Hundreds of light-years away, the main Vesperian fleet continued its approach, blissfully unaware that Earth's first line of defense was a grumpy old mechanic who just wanted to fix a satellite dish and get home in time for lunch.